What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi is up 4.67%, 14.12 the low, 14.79 the high. So it definitely is closing this week strong. Couple different attributing factors why it is going up today. One is just helping the broader market, and that's manufacturing data. 49.3 the actual, 48.5 is the forecast. So very good data, and this is a huge improvement from where it was in August. So it definitely is moving in the right direction towards that big like symbolic 50. Anything above that shows more of an expansion within the broader market. So yeah, honestly, amazing data. So the market is loving that. A couple of different things that's really helping SoFi today. One is a new rating. So Deutsche Mark, who has a 64% success rating, did reiterate their $14 price target. So kind of good from yesterday's KBW, which I believe wasn't yesterday's like a whole number. Somehow I remember it being like, what wasn't it, $8? Somehow it must have been adjusted, or unless TipRanks is glitching right now, but it does show $11.46. So I don't really know. As far as I'm aware, it was $8, but who knows, maybe they did reiterate or something like that. But regardless, today's new rating by Deutsche is really helping alongside the technicals. So yes, you're getting the trifecta all working out. So even though SoFi has been hit quite hard the last couple of trading days, it did have a low of $14.12. So bouncing off of this right here, this S2. And typically whenever you bounce off of a very strong support or resistance, usually goes the other way. So a little bit of consolidation. So that all is helping SoFi. Plus they did announce their earnings. So earnings is slated for January the 27th. And historically speaking, there's always a run up to SoFi's earnings. And then regardless of the results, it sells off. Except for last earnings, that seems to be the outlier. But all in all, this might be a kickstart for Run 2.0. So in reality, that's definitely a very, very positive thing. I'll monitor to see if there is any changes or anything like that. But even what I brought up a couple videos ago, how as soon as SoFi does announce their earnings, there's always these random just ratings, because honestly, it doesn't logically make sense for any ratings to come in prior to a company's earnings, such as the one that came out yesterday, or even Deutsche. I'm not complaining about Deutsche's one, but still, it doesn't logically make sense all that much, because their upcoming earnings, that is where they're going to really share a lot of key information, fundamental information, that analysts can take that and readjust. But kind of giving ratings beforehand doesn't make sense. But whatever, enough of my rant. So shorts right now are increasing 213,000 shares. 13% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 138.6 million shares overall are being shorted. So they were fairly active first thing, so that is what caused it to hit the low today. So as you can kind of see, at its peak it was increasing roughly around 1.2 million shares. So they have been returning in the second half of the day. This cost to borrow minimum is back at it at being negative. So again, there's that one broker out there trying to drum up some business. 18 million in calls, 7.63 million in puts. 50% of all the options being done are optimistic in nature. So pretty good stuff as far as that goes. This is all the call options that are being purchased. So there is a consensus for it to be above roughly that $17 by January 17th. And to encumber their earnings, oddly, there's not that much based on that. So January 31st, that would encumber their earnings. Bears are anticipating for the foreseeable future for it to be sub 14. So a lot more upside is anticipated. And based on this right here, this is all the open interest. So with it at 1480, it is fair to assume that it is going to be closing above 1450. So that means 8,000 at that 14, 7,000 at that 1450 is going to be in the money. So equates to around 1 point something million. that market makers might have to cover. But these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So a fair amount, kind of in line with what the norm has been over the last little bit. But with it at 1482, it is trading between these 2 points, so the pivot and this S1. So 1473, it was able to successfully get above that. So that's going to act as the next strong support. So just watch for that alongside 1411 for going into next week. And then 1572, 1672 are going to be the following resistance points. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And then as far as on the actual chart itself, so it did bounce off of that 50-day moving average. Currently is still below that ALMA, so something to kind of keep in mind. But it is what it is. I think SoFi's ran up quite a lot. There was a couple, just like even that KBW rating that came out, that was just what the technicals needed just to push down. Wasn't the best, but right now it is just trading between that 50 and that ALMA. So most likely is going to continue to trade within that range up until potentially either a good piece of news or something on a macro standpoint for it to break higher. But again, historically speaking, every time SoFi has really unveiled their earnings, SoFi does always go on a very nice run. And I did a full dedicated video like last quarter on about some expectations, and I think on average it does yield roughly around a 30% run up every time that SoFi does obviously announce their earnings. So today is, I guess, day number 1 since announcing their earnings. So in theory, let's see if history repeats itself and if a 30% run comes or not. So let me know your viewpoint. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with SoFi? All my options did expire worthless for this week, so I did sell a lot of puts when it did dip yesterday. So if you're in the same boat as me, hit that thumbs up and keep at it, because I think that's a way to keep on just bringing in some good premiums. That's the way I like to do it, at least. But don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like I said. And one final thing, pop over to my Patreon where I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers. Even the last couple days, I've been putting out a lot of good stocks that have ran up already 40-50%. So definitely pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.